episode 6, Lessons from Cite Soleil. This is going to be a conversation with Healing Haiti's long-term missionary, Alicia Rose, who's been working in and around Cite Soleil since 2018, and we get to hear some of her insights into the inner workings of Cite Soleil and the relationships she's built there. It's going to be an amazing discussion. We're going to start out here with 40 seconds of highlights of what's contained in this podcast. Sit back, listen, and learn about Cite Soleil from the inside. Thanks for listening.
Even within Haiti, they're othered. You've got Haiti, which I think the rest of the world looks at as the other country, this country with these things going on. But Cite Soleil is like a culture within that. They're othered within the others. And that breaks my heart every day. And I even wondered for a long time, why is there such a battle over Cite Soleil? Why is there a battle over a slum? And it's because it's access to fuel. And so if you control that, you control a lot. It's Pastor Jocelyn. He said the phrase, Cite Soleil is going to be a beacon of light for the world. And Hope Church is going to be like their city on a hill. Like, I believe that Cite Soleil is going to be a testimony to what God's got planned for Haiti. It's been a really hard year because we couldn't go to them. And there's just something about being able to walk with your friends in hard times.
Welcome to the Healing Haiti podcast. Today we're going to talk all about Cite Soleil from somebody who knows it better than most people I know even, Alicia.
Hello.
Yes. We're recording this in Minnesota. My goal was to record this in Cite Soleil, the two of us, but
how cool.
We're going to wait to do that.
We'll do another one.
Yeah, till it's settled down a bit.
Sure.
But what I really want to find out is I want to get the backstory. You know, we talk a lot about Cite Soleil. We have teams that go into Cite Soleil, but to know how Cite Soleil really looks, works, how it ticks when you work there every day. And so how many years did you actually work in Cite Soleil every day?
I was in Cite Soleil on a daily basis, Monday through Friday. 2.5 years, I think. That was when I was working as the clinic assistant manager, whatever my official title was. I was working there, for 2 years under that, and then I moved into the sponsorship role, and I chose to do my office hours out of Cite Soleil until we could no longer go in, just to keep good rapport with the community and be available to them. And so 2.5 years. Okay,
so I realized I jumped a little into this too quickly, like I do, because I feel like everybody knows you. Everybody should know you. Give us a little bit of your backstory, quick.
Great, yeah. So I have had a calling to Haiti since I was 13 years old, 13, 14, something like that. Basically, when the earthquake happened in 2010, I learned about the earthquake because I saw it on the news, and I remember feeling a calling to pray for Haiti. I was heartbroken, so I prayed for Haiti. And then I felt like the Lord was pushing me to do more. So I started to donate to different charities. And then I still felt like the Lord was like, is that all I have for you to do? Is that all I'm asking you to do? And so I would journal about it. And keep in mind, I'm a kid. I'm 14. So I'm just journaling. And then it just hit me one day during my quiet time with Jesus that I was supposed to be a missionary in Haiti. And if you can imagine, a 14-year-old girl going to her parents, because I did tell my parents, I think I'm going to move there. I'm going to move to Haiti. My parents thought I was ridiculous. They laughed at me. It was great. You can't move when you're that young. And I found out quickly. So
it was frowned upon.
It was frowned upon, right? You can't let a minor move to another country, turns out. But I started to prepare. I learned a lot about what the Lord has for us in times of waiting during that time of my life, because I didn't move until I was 23. So it was roughly 10 years before I got to move. I didn't go to Haiti until I was 21. So the Lord really taught me a lot about waiting and how he doesn't waste time, even if it feels not what we want to be doing, like it's wasted to us. So I took French. I learned French. 'Cause I was like,
I didn't
well,
know that.
I learned French. I minored in it in college because I wanted to prepare to move down to Haiti and connect with our people there the second I got there. So I started learning French, and then I started researching the country. And that's how I learned about Cite Soleil. I kept seeing pictures of this place that at the time especially was just under garbage. And I would see images of children just like doing normal children things, but in the middle of garbage. And I didn't understand that, especially at that young of an age. I didn't understand it. So I knew as I was researching and learning more about it that God had a calling for me there. He had a purpose for me there. So I started researching organizations that were working in Cite Soleil, and I could not find any. I couldn't find anyone that was working there, which made me angry because I frankly saw that that was the place with the most need. Continued to research, and then I started seeing this place called Healing Haiti, and they were the only ones that kept popping up. And then as I learned more, I started to learn about the damage that organizations in Haiti do, oftentimes unintentionally, where they send people and they send all these volunteers and they have Americans come and do, but they're taking away opportunities from Haitians who want to serve their own, who need jobs, and who are skilled enough to do these things that we're coming in to do for them. And Healing Haiti took a very firm stance against that. So Healing Haiti checked a couple of boxes for me. I went on my first trip when I was 21, had never been on a plane, had never been out of the country, anything like that. So I had to figure out how to get a passport, how to book a plane ticket, signed up on a random team, met these Minnesotans in Miami, Florida, who didn't know me and I didn't know them. God had his hand in it. The person that was my team leader at the time was Monique Gaynor, and she was the director of missions. I went on another trip after that one, and then a third one. And during that third one, I was training to become a short-term trip leader. And Monique was really pushing me at the time. And she said, it's great. I love that you're wanting to do more, but do you think that God might have more than you for you than that? Do you think he might want you to do more? Because you said you had a calling there to live there.
Yeah, like a decade earlier.
You're right.
Yeah. Yes.
And I was still kind of fighting it. But during that third trip, it was April of 2018, I got off the plane and hugged one of the missionaries that was living at the guest house at the time. And she kind of jokingly said, like, do you think this time you'll finally just end up moving here? And when she said that, something just clicked, and I went, yes. And she was like, oh, you're serious? I said, yeah. We did paperwork during that trip. We started setting up interviews and all that, and then I moved in July 2018.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm a big believer in what God can do in seasons of waiting, and it was such a good thing that he made me wait, and I didn't move when I was 14. But I got to work as the guest house missionary for about 6 months, which was a great introduction into our ministry as a whole, because we do so much in Cite Soleil, but we also do a lot in Titanier and around the Delma area. So it was just great to get to know the ministry better and connect with people. Still didn't really want to do that, though. Still wanted to work in Cite Soleil. Maybe with a little bit too much assertiveness, went to our COO about 3 months into me being there and saying, can a missionary serve full time in Cite Soleil instead? We didn't have anything like that ever going on at that point. But then we had an opening at the clinics, and I got to serve as the clinic assistant manager for 2 years. And now we have a clinic manager who's doing a fabulous job. He's Haitian. He runs both clinics, which is pretty cool. Brunei, we love him. And
a lot of you know Brunei.
He's great. Was our translator.
Yes.
And now I'm working in our sponsorship genre programs. I've been doing that for a little over a year at this point, and I get a more extensive overview of all of our programs again. And but I do, in normal times, try to do my office hours still out of Cite Soleil to keep the rapport with the community. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for the background.
Yeah.
That sets us up for what I really want to talk about is kind of the inside view of Cite Soleil, working in Cite Soleil, not visiting, not spending a day or two there, but working there every day, day in and day out for years. I'm not going to lead you, I guess, anywhere to like, what's your viewpoint on Cite Soleil? The world views it one way. So you were seeing it when you were 14 through photos.
Yeah.
So how did this view, was it the same when you got there? Did you have the same viewpoint as what you were researching a decade earlier, or did you quickly have a different opinion on Cite Soleil?
I'm going to say yes and no to that. The yes part, the need is great. And I see this community that is so disconnected from the rest of Haiti, even though it's right there. It is, a 20-minute drive from our guest house, super close to the airport, and yet it is like worlds away from even the rest of Haiti. The need there is, in my opinion, and I have not been everywhere in Haiti, I still think it's the greatest need I have seen in Haiti to this day. I'll say no in the sense of I think it's a very misunderstood place. I often hear even other Haitians talk about how dangerous it is and how all these bad things happen there. And for a long time, and I think still this is going on, if you're from Cite Soleil, you have trouble getting a job. You have trouble leaving Cite Soleil because you're Moon Cite Soleil. You're a person from Cite Soleil. People don't want to associate with you because they think you're a gangster. They think you're a bad person. Right. That is so untrue. Do bad things happen there? Yes. Are there gangs there? Yep. That's the thing. There are also children there, a lot of children. There are also mothers there. There are also fathers there. There are also people who have big visions for their community. There are people who are proud to be from Cite Soleil there. And to see that has almost like, it's ignited in my heart what I would call a righteous anger for the misrepresentation that they get, even amongst their country, even within Haiti. They're othered. You've got Haiti, which I think the rest of the world looks at as the other country, this country with these things going on. But Cite Soleil is like a culture within that. They're othered within the others. And that breaks my heart every day because I have those stories of getting to know this guy and like sitting on the corner with him and having a drink. And I've got the stories of teaching this little boy an English phrase and then it immediately backfiring on me because I taught him the word hot mess and he called me a hot mess. Like I've got those little cute stories. I've gotten to walk the streets and feel totally safe. I've gotten those privileges. And that's something that my heart really longs to share with the rest of the world because once you walk amongst them, you realize they're people. They're not scary and they're not other. They're like us and they deserve all the opportunities in the world. So, yeah.
I could not agree more.
Yeah.
So do you have any like small stories, like, events that happened while you're working there that just kind of give a window into the people?
Yeah. So I'll start with one that this is kind of when I got in Cite Soleil. This is when I became more, I became more. This is when I got the opportunity to build a relationship.
I think you became more.
This is the moment when I had a much better relationship with our staff in Cite Soleil than it was just like, that guest house missionary. We went in with a team one day and we were doing water truck delivery, what we do. I was still a guest house missionary at this point. So I was kind of like helping out and I had a little bit of Creole at the time, not a ton. One of our staff members pulled me aside and was just talking to me and I was joking around with him and I took his hat off and I put his hat on my head and his name is Pale. And I was like, today I am Pale. And everybody laughed. Everybody thought it was funny. The rest of the guys were kind of all around and I went out to help the team and they were like, no, come with us. And I was like, oh no, I got to go help the team. And they're like, no, just come with us for a second. They're okay. They've got like the translators were with them and the workers.
Today you are Polly.
Yeah. Today you're Polly, basically. And we went and we sat at the corner store and we got a drink together and just sat on the corner store. And then they took me to see their houses respectively. Like a couple of the guys, like I got to go see Johnny where Johnny lives. And that was the first time I got to go see Polly's house for the first time. Like cool little things like that all on that day. And I was like, it was everything I wanted. Like I just really wanted that community to know I loved them and to feel like they could trust me. And I finally got it that day of like, yeah, just come hang out with us. It wasn't transactional. It wasn't come do for me. I didn't feel like a blonde Cite Soleil that day, even though I totally still was. But I felt accepted amongst them. And that is a privilege that I still hold dearly in my heart. Because you can't affect change in a community if you don't have rapport, if you don't have relationship. And it's such a privilege that God gave me that chance. But it started that day. After that, we were friends and we were joking. We're like, oh yes, the other Pale. I got being called, like they called me the other Pale for a while, just jokingly, because I took his hat, and it was wonderful. That day still, like, it was such a little day, but it wasn't little, you know? It was
No,
great.
that's not little. I mean, to be welcomed into a group, and a group that, you know, that they have to be wary, especially of foreigners.
Yeah.
That to be accepted into that group 100%, like you're fully in, is a huge honor. That's really impressive.
That was a wonderful day.
Yeah.
I do have another one. I mentioned the hot mess story. We got to tell that one. That one was cute.
But you're going to talk about the boys, right?
Yeah, our boys. We have the Three Musketeers with our organization. They are teenagers now, all of them. They're turning 14, 15, 16. I can't handle it.
So I'm already crying.
Right.
Just because I know this is where we're going.
Yep.
So. Okay, I'm going to break into this podcast for a second here and explain something. When we recorded this, we used names of the boys that we know and love in Cite Soleil, and out of an abundance of caution, I'm going to remove their names during the conversation. So you'll hear a little click every time it was a name, just so you know, we're just making sure that these boys are safe. Thank you.
They are these three boys that you said you're crying. I'll tear up too, probably. I think God gave so many of us a heart for them because we can see what the trajectory could have held for them. And, oh gosh, you got to stop.
I can't stop crying because it's been a long time.
I know. I feel the same way. But they've connected with several of us. They're my buddies. They're your buddies. They're like your helpers. They're, our staff, even like the way our Haitian staff has connected with them and fought for them has been just the most beautiful thing. But they're just really special boys, and it's kind of hard to put into words how special. But they have decided that they really need to learn English.
So how did you meet them? Like what was the context on, like, how did you meet the boys?
For me, it was water truck. I think was already connected with you a little bit at that point.
Yes, he was my assistant.
He was your assistant. Yeah,
yes.
He was your assistant photographer.
Yeah,
and he just kind of helped you out. So that's how I kind of connected with him. But then he started being my little assistant in certain ways. I did tutti-ta with all the kids. That was my big thing. Because it was a great way to include a lot of kids in an activity. Especially if the kids were kind of over it and were overtired or just over all the people there and we're starting to act up. It was a great way to get everybody together and let's do the stupid dance together. Yeah. It'll be great.
Yes.
Well, he would help me lead it. And he would try to do the English words, which was super cute. And so I don't know, we just kind of connected that way. Lynn's family lived right close to the campus. So I'd go and visit him, mom, and his sister quite a bit. And then mom had a baby named Junior as well. So, and to give you guys a context of their house, they were in a nicer structure, I would say. That's that row of houses.
Yeah, people who have been there know the cement houses that are right outside Hope Church. So as you're going into the church, right to the right.
Yep.
Those cement houses.
Yep.
And those of you who've been on trips have all met these boys.
Yes, you guys
just
all
may
know
not realize
exactly
it, but
who
you've
they
all
are.
met them. Yes.
So that's a nicer structure, but it's mom and 3 children inside a 1-room house. And I would get to go sit in there with mom a little bit. I don't recommend this, but mom did feed me. Mom would make food and feed me, and that was really kind of her. So I got in with family pretty quickly, and that was special as well. I don't quite know all of the story, but he just kind of linked up with them, and he was the other helper. And again, the staff also loves these boys. our Haitian staff. They fight for these boys. They think that they're really special kids, which helped us be able to connect with them as well. And I appreciate that. But they all three did take to this, like, Alicia, we're going to learn English. We have to learn English. We have to. We want to do this. So I started teaching them silly things at first. A common thing that you'll hear said in Haiti is, like, you can call somebody a désordre, which, like, you shouldn't just call random people a désordre, but you can, like, say it to kids or whatever, and it's funny. And, like, in Cite Soleil, we could say it back and forth, and it was funny. And I would call that, and then he would call me that. And it was great. And so he asked me how to say désordre in English. And I had to think about it. And I was like, the nicest way and, like, the best way to say it and keep it, like, lighthearted and a joke is hot mess. So I was like, you would say hot mess. And he started repeating it. He would go, hot mess, hot mess, hot mess. And then he looked at me and he goes, Alicia is a hot mess. It's like, okay, that's not wrong, but
that's quite the initial first English sentence. Yeah.
He called one of our translators beautiful too, and that was Wilbert. He called Wilbert beautiful.
You're beautiful.
You're beautiful. It's so funny.
I mean, these kids are just they're just doing everything they can to just be involved with something positive.
Yes.
And it's not just us. It's certainly not me.
Yeah.
But, with you, it's friendship, but they really want to be part of something that is lifting up the community.
Yes.
Because the other option is you just fall into a gang scenario.
Yeah.
And that's the trap, because there's really no other option. You just... So I just love the fact that you and the staff continually pour into these boys. And, I mean, they've really become fine young men.
They're incredible kids.
Yeah.
And so we can't go right now, which has been the hardest there, because those three especially are the ones that I just, like, I stay awake at night worrying about them. And,
so how long has it been since you've been in Cite Soleil?
It's been almost 2 years. It's been 1.5 years, which if you would have asked me that when we first had to, like, kind of shut the clinic down, I would not have believed you.
So why haven't you been in Cite Soleil for 1.5 years?
Well, there's a lot going on in Cite Soleil currently. I'll try to make it as quick as I can. But there are, like I said, I don't like that the reputation for Cite Soleil is that it's this bad place with gangs.
Right.
There are gangs there, though. That's also the truth. There are some gangs that are there. And unfortunately, a lot of the gangs that are there are very powerful. And a lot of the gangs that are there are backed by very powerful men with a lot of pull in Haiti. And Cite Soleil is also kind of in between access to gas. And I even wondered for a long time, why is there such a battle over Cite Soleil? Why is there a battle over a slum? And it's because it's access to fuel. And so if you control that, you control a lot.
Right. So the port is right next to it.
Yep.
Where the fuel comes into the country.
You have to pass through it.
Yep.
So it makes more sense to me now knowing that. But it took a long time for me to get that. But you've seen over the years, you know, there are more than this, but there are really 3 major gangs that I know of in the Cite Soleil area. And you have one who kind of is around where we operate, another who's around it but not directly near our campus, and then a really big gang. I'll say the name of this one because they're in the news. It's G9. G9 is not just Cite Soleil. G9 has footholds all throughout the Delmas area, all the way up in Port. They're a huge gang. They're a coalition of gangs that have banded together. And G9 linked up with the rival gang to the gang that kind of operates in and around the 17 area. So this little gang that had not had backing with G9 for a while had been fighting and feuding with the gang in 17. And for a while would just be like a week or two of, oh, it's not good, we're not going to go. But then we go back and things were fine. And that would usually happen. I can kind of pinpoint now that I understand more, like every time around this year is when it would happen. But then once G9 linked up with the small gang, they had a lot more power. and 17 got hit really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no ceasefire. There were people that used to be able to kind of get involved, some organizations actually, that got involved and would help them sign peace treaties, help them work out agreements. Once G9 entered the picture, we couldn't come to those agreements anymore because it's a different ball game with G9. And that's just kind of where we're at. We've been in over a year of this feud. We'll have moments of peace. I think we've opened the clinic since then for like a couple of months, but then we had to shut down again. But there has not been official peace for almost 2 years in Cite Soleil. Very devastating to the population. Our campus stayed open as a feeding center pretty consistently, I'll say.
Just pretty amazing because Hope Village is
it's in
not
the middle.
Figuratively, it's literally on the front lines.
Yeah.
It is the border, the barrier between these two rival gangs. And then we've got 3 boys who are in the middle of this, who are they're kids.
They're children.
They're little. They're 12.
Yep.
And they're caught in the middle of this political and gang-fueled battle. They have been trying to make their lives better for years, and everything's derailed.
Yeah.
And you can't get there because it's just not safe. I mean, it's just our staff within Cite Soleil is able to continue working, but you can't. You'd have to go through other gangs' territory to get in and out.
Yes.
So we were cut off.
Yep.
Still are cut off.
Still are. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't want to go to the hard place so quickly.
That's okay.
But that's really what's happening with these boys.
Yeah.
And this is just kind of a smaller story of the heart of Cite Soleil is imagine these 3 boys who have been, dealt a terrible hand from the beginning and have risen above that. And so what is going on with them now? Like what's happening now?
Unfortunately, I don't have updates on all 3 yet. I think that I'm almost to a place that I'll have them. I do know that thankfully his mom has been able to get him out successfully a couple of times. I don't know if that's the case today, but I think that he has options to go to other safe areas if things get really bad. Is going to be starting school in I think January, which thank God that was a huge piece of information that we've actually learned this week. We're super excited. And then Ben's is the one that I really don't hear about, so I'm really worried about that. My hope is that things really start to turn around and we'll get to know more soon. I believe that these boys are probably okay. I do think our staff knows our hearts for them enough to let us know if something real bad happened. I'm thankful. Like I said, the thing that I'm holding on to right now is he gets to go to school. He gets to go back to school. And 100%. That's huge. We talked about the trajectory that they could have had if they wouldn't have linked up with us. And these boys are now teenagers. What breaks my heart is with us not having the full spectrum of service that we typically have. Like it does keep me awake at night thinking like, what's going to happen? Are they going to be in a position where they have to make a choice that isn't a good choice, but they have to? And
it's so interesting. People always ask when we're on trips, like, well, how does this change? What impact are you really having? Sure. We've got church. We're giving people faith who didn't have faith before. God is working in that community. We've got this medical clinic, we've got the school, but really, where's the seismic change that's going to happen?
Great question.
We know where that seismic change is. It comes generationally. It comes where you change kids, and even if they go through a patch where they have to, for self-preservation, do something that just keeps them alive and keeps their family alive, they still have that moral code, that faith and hope that was instilled in them when they were 5. that someday will rise back up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the hope. That's what we're banking on,
Mm-hmm.
is that we just keep pouring into this community so that someday a group rises up and says, there's a better way to do this. Yeah. And that's when the real change happens. But if you don't put the time and the effort in when they're little, that will never happen when they're adults. It doesn't just happen. It happens through partnership. It happens through friendships. It happens through love for each other. And that's what's so powerful about Hope Village, honestly, in my opinion. Okay, I went on a tear there for a little bit.
It was great.
But all right. So
another really good story I had actually was when I was working at the clinic, and we brought the ultrasound machine down, and I was invited into an ultrasound by one of the nurses one day. That was a powerful moment. In Cite Soleil, and it happens all over Haiti, but there specifically, you don't see a lot of bonding between mothers and their babies. Infant mortality rate is very high in Cite Soleil specifically. So it's easier to just not get attached. And there are other reasons too. Like sometimes it's not a planned child and it's just hard. It's hard I met a mother there. She was 40 years old and she had 7 children. And it's like I said, it's 1-bedroom houses there. That's insane. So it's hard for them. But I got to be in an ultrasound with this woman, and it was, I don't know, it had to be her 3rd or 4th at least. So she's got kids, and we're looking at the ultrasound. It was her first ultrasound she'd ever had. And I congratulated her. I was like, oh, congratulations. And she kind of looked at me and I was like, what? And she said, congratulations. I said, yeah. Nobody had ever congratulated her on a pregnancy. And, I look back at that now, and there's a little bit of naiveness to me, just be like, oh, congratulations, and not like necessarily knowing all the difficulties of being a pregnant woman in Cite Soleil. But at the same time, I still hold true to this. Something as simple as us bringing in an ultrasound machine changed the trajectory of the way that mothers related to their children, because now they're seeing that image before the baby's even out of their womb, and they're connecting with their baby even before then. And you think about, I don't know all the statistics, I'm not a medical professional, but you think about the way that connecting with your child, attachment with your child, how that affects their development. Something as simple as bringing in an ultrasound machine and providing that service, we watch that change the way our mothers related to their babies within a year. That's crazy. Yeah. And that's so cool. We got that experience of getting to tell these mothers, like, congratulations on your baby. We got the experience of saying, oh, you're going to have a girl. They got to know. And it wasn't every woman that had never had an ultrasound, but there were a few. There were quite a few.
So they're bonded with their babies before they're even born.
Yeah.
And so, because those first few days can be very, very tenuous in Cite Soleil.
They're hard.
So it's good to like already have that bond happening, and it just makes the baby healthier from the start.
And we had that support system in Cite Soleil for them with our nurses. Our nurses were phenomenal. I can't speak highly enough of them. Yes. They would go out and find them. If they wouldn't come back for their checkup, or if something were to happen that they didn't go get them and they came in late, our nurses were hard on them, but in a good way.
Yeah.
They cared for those women and those babies.
So talk a little bit about the clinic staff.
I would love nothing more.
and how they react. First, when they first came into Cite Soleil, talk about a normal clinic staff versus our clinic staff.
So to be a nurse or a doctor in Haiti is a really high honor, and it's a big deal. I mean, I think it's that way to an extent in the States too, especially with being a doctor. Like, it's a big profession. You've made it big. And I talked a little bit, this ties in with what I was talking about earlier with Haitians being scared of Cite Soleil and Cite Soleil being othered. So we have this idea as an organization to open a clinic. We're hiring clinic staff. And we've hired a largely Pessionville-based staff, Thomason-based staff, which for those of you who don't know are really nice areas in Haiti. They're like where the middle class to upper class Haitians tend
It's
to
the
live.
Beverly Hills of
It's a nice
Port-au-Prince. Yeah, yeah.
So everyone on our staff, minus like 3 people, it was their very first time going to Cite Soleil. And they were terrified. But here's what I will say about that. I think it's the coolest thing ever because they worked through their fear to say, and I'm going to go to work today. There aren't a lot of jobs in Haiti, but if you're a medical professional, you're going to find another job. They didn't have to go to work to Cite Soleil. They didn't have to do that, and they did it. And to watch them change was one of the greatest honors I've ever had. They went from being really scared to fighting extremely hard for that community. I would have staff meetings with them where it was, we need to change this because it's not working for our patients. They wanted to meet them where they were at. And that was awesome. I thought staff meetings, I was prepared for our staff meetings to be about like, I don't feel comfortable here, make this more comfortable for me. It was all about how can we better serve these patients? How can we better serve Cite Soleil? And I'll tell this story too. We had a doctor who was working for us who just got a different job. He was there during our first year, and he moved on somewhere else. He texted me maybe a month ago, and it was Dr. Longor, and he asked me how things were in Cite Soleil. And he's got like a really nice job in Haiti right now, and he texted me and asked me like, how are things going? Like, I know things have been really bad there. How's the community? That's huge. He didn't have to do that. He's not connected anymore to that. I watched these people who had been taught to fear this community stand with them, and they miss it. They want to go back. They want to reopen the clinic real bad. Yeah,
because clinic staff, from what I've seen in Haiti, they're very dismissive.
Yes. No bedside manner.
Yeah, like it is. They're so cold, and it's very conveyor belt. Like come in, go out. Like there's no empathy or care. It's just a job. Boy, that is not what that staff does.
Not at all.
It's so like arm in arm with the community, with the people they're serving, their friends. It's a team. I've never seen anything like it either.
They're incredible.
It's incredible.
And they just immerse themselves in the community. I mean, it was, we're going to go walk down the street to the corner store and we'll get our Coke there at lunch. And then they would give money to one of our guys to go buy food in Cite Soleil for them to have and support the vendors there. Or even home visits. We had doctors that would go see our homebound elders. And, you know, when Mr. Emmanuel was passing away, I will never forget Fabian walking through the streets to go to his house. He didn't have to do that.
No, doctor walking down the main road in Cite Soleil. It just seems crazy.
Yeah.
You know, like he wasn't bombarded by people. He wasn't like, help me, you know, like see me. It was, they had already built such a relationship that he was able to do that freely, without being like yelled at to come and help us in our, you know, come to the clinic. If you want to see me, come to the clinic. And for him to go out and do a house call, pretty phenomenal.
Especially for that scenario, you know, I mentioned Mr. Emmanuel. It was his end of life care.
Yeah.
And that's not something that I think you get to have a lot of in Haiti anyway, let alone in Cite Soleil, thinking about like a hospice home care kind of situation. Right. And was it perfect? No. But did our staff do absolutely the best they could to make that man as comfortable as they could possibly make him? Yeah.
They really did.
And that was incredible. Like that is something that I was just so grateful for too.
He got to pass with dignity. Because he was surrounded by people who cared about him, not just his wife.
Yep. We loved him. And, that's something else that I, as hard as that was, because we all loved that man so much, I'm very grateful and I treasure those memories of watching that staff say, okay, let's like make this better for him.
I mean, it's the thing about to break the stigma a little bit. There's something about those neighborhoods that is really special. Yeah. Because they rely on each other and each other alone. Like it's just on this earth, it's just them.
Yeah.
Nobody's got their back.
Yep.
So these neighborhoods, they're just a big family.
Yep.
And not every family is perfect.
Right. Exactly.
So we're not sugarcoating this.
Yep.
But there's strength in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And City Soleil, Hope Village is kind of at the heart of that.
Yeah.
It is the precipice of where everybody comes together in that area.
I'll put it
pretty wonderful.
It's really cool that you said that. Like, it's like the heart of it. One of our pastors, gosh, this was a couple months ago. We were just meeting about what was going on in Cite Soleil and the church, and it's Pastor Jocelyn. He said the phrase, Cite Soleil is going to be a beacon of light for the world. And Hope Church is going to be like their city on a hill. And that was so cool to me to hear a belief, like his belief in that. And it motivated me. Like, I believe that Cite Soleil is going to be a testimony to what God's got planned for Haiti. I have these visions and these beliefs that the Lord has such deep plans for that community, and that we're going to one day see this change there that none of us could have ever predicted. And we can only attest it to what Jesus is doing there. And then the rest of Haiti will follow. Like, how cool. And to see like our pastors believing that, and then they're preaching that belief and they're spreading that belief in their congregation, and that's going to strengthen that congregation who is also Cite Soleil people, and then they're going to spread it out to their neighborhoods. I'm just like, it gets me like pumped just sitting here talking about it. I love it. It's so cool.
It is. I mean, I'm sure this happened to you too, but it's happened to me where people have accused me of like pretending that it's not what it is.
Right. Yeah, I get that a lot too.
Like you are, like you're pretending it's something better than it is. It's not that part of it that I'm trying to convey, and what I think you're trying to convey is that there's something unique happening there.
Yes.
That's different than almost any place I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's God in action. It's people in action.
Yes.
Trying to weather the storm. I've never seen anything so raw and wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
I understand how awful it is. It is one of the worst places
We've seen a thing or two
on the planet. It is like one of the worst places in the world. 100%. Of course it is. That doesn't mean that there's a glimmer happening that is building.
Yeah.
And to be part of that, and just kind of like a small little tiny portion of that, is a real privilege.
Yeah. I agree. It's this weird like dichotomy to kind of live in, where it's like you said, I don't think that us talking about what the Lord wants to do there is ignorance. I think that, we can acknowledge it. It's rough there. Yeah. We've seen some stuff there.
Yeah.
It's a hard place to be. That doesn't mean that God doesn't have plans, and that doesn't mean that it's destined to be this way forever. Right. This is something that I've been just speaking to God in my prayer time this year a lot, because I'm just heartbroken for what's happening. And like, we saw progress, and then all of a sudden it was like this war exploded and everything came to a halt and took 10 steps back. Cite Soleil deserves to thrive. And I keep just bringing that to the feet of the Lord. They deserve to thrive. And that's really my big thing. You had asked me if my perception had changed, and it's not that I was seeing untrue things, and I still think those things are true. Like, yeah, I see the mountains of trash and the children living in it, and I see those things. Yeah. But that narrative almost came across as, and this is just Cite Soleil. No, they can be so much more than that, and they are so much more than that. They deserve the chance to thrive just like everyone else in this world does. They deserve that. So, yeah.
All right, what's your last... Okay, we're going to end this.
Okay.
Let me see how long we've gone. Have we done a good job? We did fair.
Okay.
We're at about 40 minutes.
Is that too short? Or?
My goal is always to keep it to 30 minutes, but that seems impossible because we could go on for hours.
Yep.
About Cite Soleil.
Absolutely.
We'll definitely come back to this subject and talk about how Cite Soleil looks like from your vantage point later in the year. Okay. But this is a good kind of like, this is where we're starting, the basis. Just what's your sentence? What do you want to say to the people that you work with
Mm-hmm.
in Cite Soleil that you have not been with for the last year and a half, what do you want to say to them if they're listening right now?
I am so proud of you. Sorry. Dang it. It's been a really hard year because we couldn't go to them, and there's just something about being able to walk with your friends in hard times, and we couldn't do that for you this year. We were with you in spirit though, but I'm so proud that when I can't go in, when the staff can't go in, that you continue to risk it all to serve your own community. And I just want to encourage you in that, because you will be the ones that change your community, and it won't be me, and it won't be the people sitting in PV who come in and work. It's going to be you. And I'm just incredibly proud of you, and I'm thankful for you. Yeah.
Good way to end it.
Thank you.
So, from a snowy Minnesota, that's when we're recording it. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
See you all in Haiti. To learn more about the ongoing work of Healing Haiti, follow us on Instagram and Facebook, or visit us at healinghaiti.org.
Alini ma kuma